Good evening and welcome to the Business Roundup. I'm your host Maureen Babidi. Tonight, the Ministry of Finance launches the Budget Month activities for the financial year 2026-27, setting stage for the budget discussions and economic priorities. Also ahead, Uganda's private sector criticizes combining of different countries' Ebola cases. We bring details from Karamoja, where President Museveni has broken ground for the construction works of the Kidepo International Airport. And we examine the impact of the World Bank's support to the tourism and hospitality industry. Welcome aboard once again. This is the Business Roundup. The private sector has raised alarm over what it describes as misleading reporting on the Ebola situation in the region, warning that inaccurate information is already affecting Uganda's tourism, trade, and investor confidence. The concerns follow a recent report by the Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention that cited more than 260 Ebola cases across affected countries in the region, a figure that some stakeholders say has been interpreted as applying to Uganda despite the country's significantly lower case count.
The Director of Policy Research and Advocacy at the Private Sector Foundation Uganda, Dr. Julius Biaruhanga, says the reporting on Ebola cases has created a distorted perception of Uganda's public health situation and poses a direct threat to economic activity.
There was a statement that was maliciously put out by Africa Center for Disease Control and was captured by international media, including Al Jazeera and others, combining the Republic of Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo in terms of reported cases of Ebola. This is condemned with the strongest terms, especially by the private sector of Uganda.
Dr. Biaruhanga argues that while the regional tally exceeded 260 cases, aggregating the figures unfairly amplifies the perceived risk associated with the country.
It's malicious, and we believe probably it's meant to damage our tourism sector, which, as we speak now, is at the peak season. And unfortunately, we have gotten already some cases of cancellations by tourists. But we want to assure our private sector players, our visitors from all over the world, that Uganda is safe.
The private sector umbrella body says the impact is already being felt, particularly in the tourism industry, where some international visitors have reportedly cancelled planned trips.
Tour operators, hotels are already experiencing cancellations, and this is really negatively impacting the tourism and hospitality business. And this is despite the fact that Uganda's health system is very resilient.
PSFU is now calling on the Ministry of Health, the World Health Organization, and other relevant agencies and authorities to provide clearer communication on country-specific Ebola statistics to prevent further economic damage.
I think the Ministry of Health hasn't come out strongly, though they have put out information on statistics, but I think they need also to counter this misinformation, and we call upon the PS, who I believe now is the acting minister till the new minister comes into office, needs to come out clearly to clarify on this misinformation.
Dennis Igoa for UBC.
The Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development has launched the National Budget Month. The initiative seeks to inform the public about the priorities of the government for the next financial year, which starts on the 1st of July 2026. Chantal Kemigisha has the details.
The Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development has emphasized the need for accountability, transparency, and efficient implementation of government projects to ensure the value for public funds and improved service delivery. This was at the launch of the National Budget Month for the financial year 2026 to 2027 at the Ministry of Finance.
The problem of this country is no longer money. No. We have some money now. We have some money to do certain things. It's not money, it's not policy. The problem is implementation discipline. So let's concentrate more effort now on accountability, on procurement.
Gobi further revealed that significant investments will be directed towards key enablers of economic transformation. These include transport, health services, security, among others.
You will not do science and innovation without electricity. So we have invested a lot of money in electricity generation, transmission, and distribution. The other enabler is industrial parks. Investing in industrial parks. We have chosen industrial park model. For us to develop all of those things we are talking about, manufacturing, adding value, we want all of those investors to go in a place where they can find a concentration of these key infrastructure requirements. The other enabler is the human capital development now.
The government's key priorities for the new financial year and commitment to live within its means were lauded by various stakeholders from the private sector and development partners.
Your announcement over the weekend really can help us to move forward. We are now believing that when we hear that now we are coming towards how can also rationalize some of these non-critical public expenditures, we can actually reduce pressure even to borrow more by diverting resources where they are needed most.
Private sector, in context, employs over 85% of the total workforce and contributes about 80% of GDP. As a farmer who has cows, I believe that any cow that gives you the milk must be fed well.
The budget for the financial year 2026-2027 is expected to support initiatives aimed at creating jobs, improving access to affordable credit, and boosting private sector growth, which contributes a significant share of Uganda's GDP and employment. Kemigisha Shanta for UBC.
For years, Martyrs' Day has been more than a religious celebration for thousands of Ugandans. It has also been a lifeline for small-scale traders who depend on the annual influx of pilgrims to earn a living. But this year, silence replaced the usual crowds at Namugongo, leaving many vendors counting losses instead of profits. Dennis Segoa was on ground.
The suspension of this year's Martyrs' Day celebrations at both the Catholic and Anglican shrines in Namugongo and Kampala suburb has dealt a heavy blow to the business community, especially small-scale entrepreneurs. A visit to the vicinity of the shrines paints a gloomy picture on a day that is traditionally associated with celebration, bustling activity, and quick earnings from hundreds of thousands of pilgrims who travel from across Uganda and beyond its borders.
The Namugongo celebration business has not worked. It has, instead of profits, it has brought to me and to everyone who works around this place, it has added even more loss, because this year we are broken down like 1 month, 2 months ago. Our shops were broken, our business were destroyed, and the only hope to recover our loss was this Martyrs' Day was our only target.
The hardest hit are women engaged in small-scale business, including the sale of food, religious artifacts such as rosaries, clothing, and other merchandise. Many had stocked goods in anticipation of strong sales and hoped to earn enough to meet pressing financial obligations, including school fees and requirements following the reopening of the new school term. Instead, many are now left disappointed and uncertain about how they will recover their investments. I expected to make good money at Namugongo. At least I make my children happy, but that's impossible. We are now confused and wondering.
But right now it is gone, it is a loss, it is unexpected, it is more than you can even imagine.
The government of Uganda recently announced the indefinite suspension of Martyrs' Day celebrations at Namugongo and other related gatherings as part of measures to contain the spread of the Ebola virus. Health authorities fear that the massive crowds usually associated with the celebrations could accelerate the spread of the deadly virus, which has already claimed the life of a Congolese national and infected several others in Uganda. While the decision has largely been welcomed as necessary to safeguard public health, the situation on ground at Namugongo vividly illustrates the economic toll that disease outbreaks can have on ordinary citizens whose livelihoods depend on public gatherings and tourism-related activities. I own a Waragi factory. Our liquor is called V8. We had this place 2 weeks ago at 750,000 shillings to sell alcohol. All that is lost. For many traders, this year's Martyrs' Day will be remembered not for the crowds and commerce they had anticipated, but for the empty streets, unsold merchandise, and missed opportunities brought about by the Ebola outbreak. Dennis Igoa for UBC.
In another development, Uganda Wildlife Education Center has emerged as one of the country's leading tourism and conservation education destinations, while the Uganda Hotel and Tourism Training College in Jinja has evolved into a modern and competitive center of excellence. Through the World Bank-funded competitiveness and enterprise development projects, the two institutions have undergone remarkable transformation, creating lasting benefits for students, tourists, and Uganda's economy. Take a look. The $200 million World Bank Competitiveness and Enterprise Development Project was approved on May 9, 2013, became effective on June 6, 2014, and officially closed in November 2024. Among its key objectives was supporting initiatives aimed at increasing private sector investment in Uganda's tourism sector. At the Uganda Wildlife Education Center, the project's impact is evident and expected to deliver long-term benefits.
With the roads paved, been a great experience, and we've seen more people coming with their children and strollers. I think it has been a great addition for us. Where we got vehicles, we got golf carts that have also earned extra money. We charge 50,000 per hour for people who want to have that go around with golf carts. We got 3 golf carts. We got a tractor that helps us with growing animal food and also feeding as we move around, feeding animals. We use it for transport of animal feed. We got a rig van for education.
By investing in tourism and wildlife infrastructure, the project has strengthened UWEC's position as a premier tourism attraction and conservation education facility.
We also did the elephant holding. Before, when we would rescue elephants from here, we used to send them to Kenya at the Shedrick. But now we realize we're not building capacity in the country, so we kept the elephant. But an elephant, you know, it's a very huge animal, very strong, very intelligent. So it needs the facilities that were a bit stronger than what we were keeping, and it was a cost that was a bit too much. But we're able to build a holding through the funding from World Bank, and also it has improved animal welfare, visitor, I think the staff also safety, and also the visitor experience.
The project financed the modernization and expansion of animal enclosures, equipped the animal hospital and biobank, and enhanced visitor facilities, significantly improving the overall guest experience.
For it's been a rising trend of visitation, but after the World Bank project, our visitor numbers grew to 620,000 plus number of visitors. It's only last year that it a little bit dropped, and there are reasons to that. There was an increment in prices. Probably it hindered on the visitation, but we saw the revenue growing because the rates were revised from a smaller bit to a higher bit. The revenue grew, only that there was a decline in visitor numbers to about 460,000 visitor numbers for last year.
Meanwhile, the Uganda Hotel and Tourism Training Institute in Jinja City has undergone a complete transformation in recent years thanks to the support provided through the World Bank project.
The Hotel and Tourism Training College has undergone a 360-degree transformation from infrastructure to human resources, ICT systems, and partnerships. In the World Bank, in the year 2014, thereabout, the World Bank had made a grant available and a loan to the government of Uganda, purposely to improve capacity in terms of human resources in the tourism sector. This funding was a total of $12.5 million US.
The $12.5 million US investment has not only improved the image of the institution, but also facilitated the construction of a modern training hotel, which is expected to be commissioned soon.
The funding is helping to create opportunities that we can skill our students, all the students who come through this school, the training institution, and then they come on the practical side. You have to understand that the theory and practical are slightly different, in that if a student knows what theoretical they have to do, then they have to see what they can practice under guidance in the crescent crane side of training. So everything will be in the sense that this is the hotel, the commercial part of it. When they go to the industry, they'll be able to actually apply what they have learned.
With these new facilities, the quality of training has significantly improved, student enrollment has grown, and learners are now benefiting from a world-class hospitality education environment.
I believe I'm all round. Wherever you put me, I can work. Housekeeping, front office, reception, F&B, the service, and the kitchen. Only that it's you to choose your passion, where you see yourself. Do you see yourself as a capable chef? Do you see yourself as a capable housekeeper? Do you see yourself at the reception? So you have the knowledge of this all, and you're able to choose where you want to be.
I've gained a lot of skills so far. I'm not very far, but I know how to prepare different dishes. We have gained languages, French, we study German, and at least I can talk to a person in French, bonjour. Eh?
Currently, we are teaching 3 languages, that is French, German, and Kiswahili. But very soon, we are going to bring Chinese on board. There is a process that we have started, and as soon as we come on board, we shall see how to cater for them as well.
The graduates getting jobs. I think for the World Bank particularly, the focus right from the president out in Washington, DC, the focus is we have to look at our contribution primarily in terms of skills and jobs. If you're not creating jobs, then you're not going to reduce poverty, you're not going to create wealth. So that is, like he calls it, the North Star.
The transformation of these two institutions is positioning them as centers of excellence in tourism, conservation, and hospitality training, strengthening Uganda's capacity to compete in the regional and global tourism market.
The World Bank has invested over $17 million in 2 Ugandan institutions, and together they tell a powerful story. At the Hotel and Tourism Training College, $12.5 million for a working hotel, a culinary school, and real hospitality labs. Students are learning how to serve tourists at international standards. At the Uganda Wildlife Education Center, $4.5 million for a fully functional animal hospital where rescued animals like the shoebills, lions, chimpanzees, and many more get a second chance. Why both? Because great tourism needs great service and even greater conservation. And the World Bank gets that. Train the people, protect the animals, grow the industry. That's the vision. I'm Maureen Babidie for the Business Roundup. In our corporate news, Uganda Bati, a member of the Safal Group, has launched the 2026 edition of Safal Eye in the Wild competition. The competition, which advances environmental conservation and education across East and Southern Africa through photography, brings together professional, amateur, and young photographers who are invited to capture compelling visual stories and earn a financial reward.
This is really an initiative that invites participants out there to capture compelling visual stories that highlight the connection between nature, communities, and sustainable development. It's very important for us to note that every photograph submitted goes beyond artistic expression to drive meaningful community impact that will be supporting environmental awareness and funding education initiatives that we've just talked about, including classrooms and scholarships across the region.
Why is it important to us? Because it speaks into the thematic focus of environment conservation, which we're so much inclined to as an entity. We believe that without this environment, we will not survive. And funny to say is that the environment doesn't owe us anything, but we owe it everything. Because without it, we can't survive. But it can survive without us. Actually, it can do much better without us. Are we aware of that? Because we are the people who destroy it. So this initiative is really, really key to our work.
As we do our work, as NEMA, we use pictures for reporting. And I want to tell you that the recent actions that have been taken was a result of the pictures that some other people had taken and shared with NEMA. So you can see how this is important. It is just not only important for competition purposes, but for generally our work. And I am happy because I am Assistant Commissioner, Environment Education and Advocacy, where exactly this feeds.
On the international scene, Brazil has decades of experience in biofuels. China is at the forefront of electric mobility. Now, researchers from both countries are teaming up on a new generation of clean energy solutions. Take a look.
Back in the 1970s, Brazil became a leader in biofuels, building an entire ethanol industry based on sugarcane at a time of oil crisis that sent energy costs soaring. Climate change was not a major concern then, but nevertheless the strategy left a low-carbon fuel for the future. Fast forward to the present, and it's China leading a new energy revolution, symbolized by electric mobility, pushed not only by energy costs, but by a growing urgency to cut carbon emissions. Here at the University of Campinas in the São Paulo state countryside, scientists are teaming up with counterparts from China's Shandong Academy of Sciences in pursuit of answers for the 21st century. The collaborative result, the Shandong São Paulo Center for Energy Research.
Initially with lighting technologies, but since last year we broadened, we decided to enlarge the scope of our cooperation, including what we call low-carbon technologies. So that's why bioenergy became center of this cooperation.
At the University of Campinas, Professor Bruna Moraes leads a team at the center of these efforts, building on decades of Brazilian know-how with biomass to push biofuel research forward. This experimental refinery on campus is where their lab work is put to the test. Here at this lab-sized pilot plant, researchers are working with what would otherwise be agricultural waste, things like sugarcane leftovers and corn straw, turning it into fuel. This is second-generation biofuel still in development. A new partnership with China aims to push this further, helping refine these processes and move them closer to large-scale production. Moraes says the Chinese are especially interested in something called lignocellulose, the tough, fibrous stuff that makes up most of that agricultural waste.
One of the topics emerging from this partnership is lignocellulosic biorefinery. It brings together the expertise we already have in developing processes from this kind of biomass with what Chinese researchers bring to the field.
The University of Campinas has also become a testing ground for technologies brought in by Chinese companies, among them State Grid, the Chinese owner of local power company CPFL. They set up a fully automated experimental microgrid, used among other things to power an electric bus on campus.
It's really important to have this partnership with the university, to bring technology, to study new technologies, to study new solutions that we could apply in the industry. Brazil, China. I think we can evolve together, improving the way we use renewable energy, and that's good for the country, but good for the whole world.
Much of the work here is still in early stages, but for researchers on both sides, the direction is clear. Cleaner energy developed faster by working together. Paulo Cabral, CGTN, Campinas, Brazil.
It's important to look at what we have done, look at the picture, look at the size, the magnitude of this project. As the minister said, all the visitors who came recently on Tilenga project and visited the central processing facility, I mean, they said, wow, this is what we built here in Uganda, close to Lake Albert, so far from the coast. Altogether, is the biggest industrial development ever made in Uganda. I hope it will not stay long as the biggest. There will be many other bigger ones coming, but I think we should all be very proud of what we have done. It has been a very challenging project, but we are there, we did it, we achieved it. So congratulations to all of you, and let's prepare for the next phase.
In our Sounds of Business, President Yoweri Museveni was the chief guest at the groundbreaking ceremony of the runway construction for the new Kidepo International Airport. The airport in Karenga District, Karamoja sub-region, is expected to catalyze national economic growth through supporting key sectors such as tourism and mineral development.
Muzee, you're welcome to Karenga, and particularly the site of Kidepo International Airport. You are being welcomed by a dance group that is dancing Emuya. The traditional dance of the people of Karenga,
Come to think of it, why are the road repair works in Kampala City and its environs so often done shoddily? If we genuinely care about road users, especially motorists, then it's time to move beyond the cosmetic fixes and temporary patches. Public resources should deliver lasting value. And with that, we bid you good night. Thank you so much for watching to the very end. My name's Maureen Babidie. Bye-bye.